Welcome, and thank you all for joining us for this episode of the Crexi Podcast, an insider's look at all things commercial real estate. Each week, we sit down with CRE experts to uncover trends, insights, and strategies shaping the industry today. I'm Shanti Ryle, Director of Content Marketing here at Crexi, and today we are so excited to sit down with Connor Johnstone of Lennar ATL, so Lennar in Atlanta.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Connor. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of this conversation, I'd love to tell our audience a little bit more about you.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for having me. I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So to kick us off, Connor Johnstone is a land acquisition manager at Lennar, which is one of the nation's largest home building companies, where he plays a key role in identifying, underwriting, and securing development opportunities across the Atlanta metro area. Based in Smyrna, Georgia, Connor works on the front lines of Lennar's new community development strategy, focusing primarily on housing solutions for first-time home buyers. Before entering the real estate world, Connor played professional baseball, an experience that shaped his discipline, teamwork, and strategic mindset, qualities that now inform his approach to development and deal-making. With a background in physics from Wake Forest University and a self-taught proficiency in coding, which I'm so excited to talk about later today, he has built internal web-based tools that streamline underwriting and decision-making for his division, innovations that are now being explored for company-wide use, which is very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
So Connor's approach blends traditional land acquisition principles with forward-thinking use of technology, which helps Lennar evaluate deals more efficiently and precisely in a very rapidly changing housing landscape, which we will be getting into today. Connor, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you again. I'm excited for this. I know we were joking beforehand. We've had to push it a couple weeks. And I told the joke beforehand. I thought it was funny that I was going to send an email today saying my goldfish had to go to the vet and we needed to push another week.
Please no.
But we're finally doing it. We're finally here.
Yes, and sending best wishes to your goldfish. I hope it has a speedy recovery.
No, we did have a goldfish growing up. Her name was Princess. It was my sister's fish, and it ate so much food that we renamed her Princess Pig. And we went out of town, and my cousins actually lived near, so they came to take care of Princess Pig, and they dumped the whole food bottle into the bowl, and goldfish don't stop eating. So Princess Pig that week. No, poor Princess Pig. Yeah.
She just needed a bigger bowl. Don't goldfish keep growing?
Yeah. I'll just keep getting
They fit the space that they're in. Oh, rest in peace, Princess Pig. Well, speaking more about your childhood, I know we just covered a lot about your career background, but I'd love to know, lots of athletes do get into the world of commercial real estate. I think there's a similarity in terms of kind of the self-made person. You can do as well as you're willing to put in the work. There's a lot of metrics that you can kind of measure your progress against. But I'd love to hear from your perspective, starting with baseball, studying physics, coding, ? How did that lead you along the path to eventually ending up at Lennar?
Yeah. I didn't expect myself to be into, the real estate space, kind of at any point growing up. I wanted to play baseball. That was, kind of number one. I actually wanted to be a position player growing up and quickly learned that I can't hit, which is a pretty big component you need to play another position. So shifted to being a pitcher, and I, did that my entire career. But you learn a lot when, you get to kind of the levels that I played at, in terms of what you actually need to do to be successful in almost anything. Because you're not ever going to be the best at whatever you're doing. Right? There's always someone that's going to be better at whatever it is. But if you can leverage a bunch of tools to kind of get a leg up on that person's natural ability, then, you can start to carve a path and become successful in whatever you're doing. And that was kind of the approach I took in baseball was, I don't throw the hardest. I'm not the biggest, strongest, whatever, but I'm going to study everything I possibly can about my opponents to figure out how I can beat them, using what I have. And I've taken that same mindset into my career, with Lennar of what can I provide that, no one else here really can, and how can I leverage that to, make our company more successful.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing. And that's where kind of the coding came in, and the physics background. I take it more of a problem solving degree as opposed to anything else. Put a physics test in front of me right now, and I would just hand it back and be like, I don't know any.
How so? I'm curious. How would you reframe it as more of a problem solving degree? I can think of some answers, but I'd love to know what your opinion is.
Yeah. So when I went to school thinking I wanted to do econ and go into business school, and didn't enjoy, I took one class of econ and I didn't enjoy it. So I figured, what was the next, hardest thing for me to where I could kind of, prove it to myself that even though I'm not that great at this subject, I can figure out how to get it done. And it was physics. Physics was hard. There's a lot of concepts that they kind of make sense, but you have to put a lot into them, and there's a million ways to get the same answer. So that was kind of the challenge to myself. Can I graduate in 4 years with this degree that I don't really know anything about, while also playing baseball and doing everything else? So it was a problem. I had to figure out how I could get through.
Yeah.
Was I the best?
The problem was more the degree getting processed.
Yeah,
than it was
the degree getting processed. Yeah, wasn't
physics.
the best student. I didn't have didn't get straight A's, but ended up figuring out how to do it, and managing my time and teaching myself characteristics that I needed to actually fix this and get this degree and solve that problem. So I figured if I could do that, I can kind of take that approach to anything else, and hopefully end up figuring it out. And if I can't, then I'll just keep trying until I do. That's kind of my approach to all of this.
Did you have that thought as you were choosing the subject? Like, I don't know much about this, but I know I want to build the skills to be able to learn something I know nothing about. Like, did you have that foresight?
Kind of. I took a basic physics class in high school. And I enjoyed the topics that we kind of spoke about in there. So it was like, I think this is cool. It's how the world works. I'd love to know more about it, but knew nothing about it at all. I mean, the class I took was a very basic physics class, and the ones you take at Wake are not. It's, it's a small department. There were classes where there was 5 of us, and half the class was graduate students. It was very small, and you had to figure it out, because it was like, not everyone's going to pass.
Yeah.
So kind of, I thought it would be tough. I thought I could take what I learned and eventually translate it into something else. And I thought it was cool with baseball. The baseball is physics essentially. So actually learning, like, when I throw this pitch, why is the ball doing what it's doing? So that was part of what I was actually trying to learn was, why does it do what it ends up doing after I let go of it? Which is really cool. And I could spend hours talking about that. I think that's the coolest part about baseball.
Yeah. There was a lot of moving through the real world and figuring out which calculations apply to what.
Yeah.
And that's for sure. Yeah, the reason I ask is because you mentioned early on that you wanted to focus on building up the skills. You weren't the strongest player, you weren't the fastest runner, but you knew how to work hard to get to those things and develop those skills. So what key skills or mindsets do you feel like you took an active role in developing in yourself, and how have you applied them? Let's start with like the early phase of your career in real estate.
So accepting failure is number one always. I think that's the hardest lesson for anybody to learn. Baseball treats you very poorly. And, you have to learn that lesson quick to kind of get anywhere in that sport. And I think it's a skill that translates really well into the real world because you're going to fail at everything you do. And you have two choices once that happens. Do you stop and go try something else, or do you kind of accept that failure, learn from it, and take that lesson on to try to keep figuring out how you can succeed. So when I first joined Lennar, I knew nothing about real estate, nothing about land acquisition. Never really thought I would have to start learning markets and figuring out how we sell homes and who we sell them to. Definitely failed a lot early on in this. And I haven't been doing it that long, a couple years. And I think the reason I've been able to, progress so quickly and learn so fast in this industry is I learned that lesson of, I'm going to mess up and I'm going to fail at a lot of these things that I try. I just need to learn from them, realize that if I do it this way, it's not going to work. But, if I kind of tweak it a little bit here or there, we can actually get to something that's going to end up working, eventually translate to selling homes. And we fail a lot, just like every home builder, just like
Sure.
every professional in the world, we fail all the time. Whoever learns,
Development's hard.
whoever learns the quickest from it is going to be the most successful. We do a
Yeah.
really good job. We definitely do a good job at learning from our failures.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite mistakes that you could share a little bit more about?
Favorite
Things
mistakes?
that,
Yes, I
yeah.
do. I do have a good one. So it kind of ties into the things that I developed. So when I first started to try to figure out what do we need, how can we become more efficient as a division, I started to create a bunch of different tools, and they were really complex, and they made a ton of sense to me because I built them. But when I started to show them and try to teach my team, what they do and how to use them, it didn't catch on, right? And it was like, I don't understand why nobody gets this. It's super easy to use, like it's very user friendly, and it wasn't. I mean, if I went and pulled up some of the early stuff I worked on and tried to reteach it to myself, like, dude, what were you thinking? This is this is awful. This is so complex. So that was, the biggest thing for me was just dumb it down. You got to think that like everything that you create or everything that you show, people need to be able to understand it almost instantly. You can't have this super steep learning curve because then no one will use it. It won't get adapted. And then all that time you spent making something that could be very useful, it's not going to be useful at all. So that was my biggest mistake early on, was just trying to create things that were way too complex when it didn't need to be. And
Yeah.
I've kind of learned. I still try to make things that are, powerful and complex, but easy enough to use where it's,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Well,
come.
I think that is in and of itself kind of a sign of wisdom and refinement, because on one hand what I'm hearing is you really need to know your audience, whether that's an internal audience you're making something for, if you're a broker that's a potential client or current client, like you need to be able to clearly not only communicate ideas but understand what how far like they're willing to go to learn something new. uh you got to really meet them where they are and then bring them along at their level. Not to say they can't get it, but I do hear from a lot of like younger folks in the industry, like, why don't they just accept this BOV that I gave them? Like, this is how I math the math and it should make sense. I don't understand.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you do. It's a give and take, it's an exchange. And on the other side of the coin, I think, being able to create a, in your case, a tool, which we'll get more into what you've been building at Lennar soon, to be able to create a tool that's really accessible but powerful.
Yeah. No,
That's the
those are
secret sauce, right?
two great words to describe, what you need to do.
Yeah.
Accessibility is huge. Basically the way I try to look at it now is, if this person I'm trying to teach how to use this tool. Like if they barely know how to use a computer, I want to make sure they can use this. Like I want to make sure it's that easy, it's that user friendly. Because this industry it takes a lot of your time. I mean, you're constantly busy, you're constantly on the phone trying to work deals, and some people don't have, me included, we don't have hours to sit there and learn this new program or a new skill, or it needs to be quick and easy and accessible. Otherwise it's a kind of pretty paperweight.
Yeah, people are gonna do what they're used to doing. Change is hard.
Change is hard.
Is good, but change is hard.
Change is good. Oh, change is hard. Yeah.
Speaking of change, so you end up at Lennar. You're taking a lot of this stuff into your own hands, but I'm curious, of all the different corners of commercial real estate you could have stuck around in, why'd you decide to stick with home building and land acquisition?
So it's not even that I decided to stick with home building and land acquisition. It was my boss. His name's Jeff Anthony. He's a fantastic guy and an incredible leader. He's a big sports guy. Most of his team, early on at Lennar were all athletes or people that, grew up in sports. And, me along with 3 or 4 of my coworkers, we came in completely green to the industry. And just being able to have his guidance and learn about this industry under him, it really made me want to stick around and be like, this guy is going to take this division, to the moon, and I want to be on this ride while he does it. And it's been great. He is really, really smart, especially about real estate. He's done every part of it, and just a master salesman. So, that's why I'm still at Lennar is for him. And, I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon, and I'm following him wherever he's going. I don't know if he knows that yet. So Jeff, now you do.
This is the public announcement.
Jeff, I'm like a little growth. I'm not going anywhere.
A little ride along.
But that's why I'm still sticking in this industry. And now being in it more, it's a cool industry to be in. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. There's not, kind of one way to skin a cat when you're trying to find a deal. That I kind of tell, I've told you and I've told the other members at Crexi, like, you are going to get as many deals that you can, depending on how creative you are. Like if you can kind of be creative and figure out different ways to go find land, like you will get way more deals that way. And goes back to the problem solving thing. It's a problem. How do I get this one? How do I get this one? How do I get this one? So it's always changing. Every deal is different. But if I had to boil it down to one thing, it's definitely my team and our leader. He's makes it worth it. Yeah.
It's a people industry.
It is
first and foremost.
Yeah. And a golf industry. Don't forget that.
Did you say golf?
It's a golf industry. Oh yeah.
It is the golf industry. Dang it. I've tried. Well, I haven't tried. I've been to the driving range all of 2 times in my life, and I need to get better at it. There's so many conversations I could be having if I got better at golf. But yeah, no, I think this is a perfect segue, kind of getting into more of the technology side of stuff. So I think, something I was really excited about with this conversation, besides the fact that you learned coding languages and have built a tool, and now that's getting scaled across Lennar corporate, is just that, I feel like brokers are more about the vanguard historically of what new tech tools are coming out, but y'all are building homes, you're developers. And so now, we're seeing this industry shift more into the direction of adopting platforms, building them internally, and really embracing technology as a means to problem solve, like you said, and tackle different challenges in innovative ways. So let's get into it. I've teased it enough. Tell us about this program you built.
Yeah.
Why start it? Why learn coding instead of hire somebody?
Yeah. Oh man, so how should I start? I'll
No, for
start
sure.
kind of when I came into Lennar and what the problem was, and what my solution was. Uh, we need to underwrite, every deal that we bring in, just to test its viability. So if you see a thing land, like, this might be able to get 100 houses on it. We need to figure out how much we can pay for this land to actually, know, is this deal going to work? And if we pay, X for the land and X for the development, how much can we sell these homes for? Does it work in this market? Is this what people want to see? And a big part of that is, what product is actually going to work, what floor plan, how big do people want homes out here? So when you start underwriting a deal like that, if you don't know your plan library inside and out, which ours is currently at like 131 different floor plans, it takes a
Dang.
really long time it takes a long time to figure out, what 4 products am I going to need to put in this community that are actually going to sell in this market.
Yeah.
So started creating this, internal tool that we use that speeds up that process. From, I think when we ran the math on it, it was like one deal typically takes an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, and we've gotten it down to like 3 to 5 minutes because of this
Oh my
tool.
gosh.
Yeah, so
Whoa.
it increases, the efficiency like crazy. And basically what it does is you open up the program, it's downloaded on all of our team's computers. It kind of piles through our internal databases. So it pulls out all of the sales that we have. It's, we update it every single week. And then as well as like 4 other databases to find, how much are we actually building these homes for? What are our direct construction costs? What are they selling for? What homes are popular? What kind of series of plans are doing well in which communities. So when you're looking at land and you're like, oh, well, down the street 3 years ago, we sold this kind of product and it sold really, really well. So let's start there. Here's our starting place. And you simply go through and you can just, pick and click each one, and it kind of puts it into a little box, and you tell it your development cost, land price, and you hit export, and it goes out to this, a pro forma that we use to kind of determine viability and show what our base sales prices are.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can make 100 of them at the same time. It's super fast and it's really easy to use. Whole team uses it now. We have 100% adoption. Everybody uses it.
Amazing.
And we've been using it for probably about a year, I would say, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit over a year. And it's helped us scale like crazy. I don't want to give anything, away. I don't really know exactly what I'm allowed to say in terms of our numbers for
Sure.
the next few years,
Sure.
but
Sure.
we're going to scale up, and I want to think it's because of this, at least
Yeah.
have something to do with it, just we can look
Yeah.
at that many more deals now every day instead of maybe 1 or 2 a day. You're looking at 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So it's been
Yeah.
cool. It's a really, really cool tool. I would love to show you, but I can't.
It's okay. I can visualize it.
Yeah, intellectual property and whatnot. But it's cool. It
Yeah.
has all the elevations on there. So when you envision like a table, you can kind of click a little thing and it'll drop down. It'll have every elevation for that floor plan with actual pictures. So instead of just like a rendering, it will have a real picture of what we built at that
Yeah.
community for that floor plan. So you can see, how much brick is on this and what does that do to the direct cost, and what does the roof pitch look like on this one compared to this one? Really helps when you're trying to visualize what a community is going to look like.
Yeah.
So Lennar, they saw this, and they were already kind of starting to build this internal platform that eventually we will all use. And based on what I built, gave them a lot of feedback on kind of the direction they were going. And the last one that I saw very, very closely resembles what I've built. And I think the next iteration of it is going to be pretty spot on to what we're using in Atlanta, hopefully, and then we use it for the entire company, which will be cool.
That's so
Even if my
cool.
name's not on it, it'll be really cool
I was
to
gonna say,
know I helped.
do you get any inventor credit?
I don't think I will, but we'll know, Shanti, and that's all
Yeah,
that
see
matters.
see
Yeah.
if see if you can get that in there. I deeply regret not having my copyright on the Crexi Podcast theme song. I know we're gonna make millions someday with that, and right now it's Crexi's rats. No, I'm kidding.
I'll try to get in on that. I'll try to get in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's such a cool story because it's a really succinct and entrepreneurial example of there's not a solution to this very obvious problem. And not only am I going to learn the skills I need to solve it, I'm going to do so and do so effectively that we can bring this to the team at large.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I didn't know how to code before building this. So I built a couple little things. I took some computer science classes, so I understood the general like logic behind what you need to do.
What
Uh,
language was it built in, if I can ask?
so this is in Python. Yep, this is
Yeah.
this is in Python. Is it for the back end, and then the front end is just React, just Java. Um, a very very basic and plain and easy, the easy languages.
It works though. Like that
But it
that's the
works. It
crazy thing
works.
about coding is it an elegant solution doesn't necessarily need to be complicated to be effective. It just needs to be effective.
Yeah. And it's so accessible now. I mean, while this is a massive, huge, ridiculously large program, anybody, I'm saying you generally, you can build something in 5 minutes now. You just go on ChatGPT and tell it your problem and tell it, this is what I want. This is my issue, and this is how I want to solve it. And it'll write it for you at this point
Yeah.
in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Um,
Vibe
and
coding is real.
yeah, it is, and it's good. I mean, it works.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
little things that I'll use for it all the time, like updating all the images on this.
Mm,
I wrote a little screen capture one that instead of hitting screen capture, doing it and then saving it, you just kind of tell it exactly where it's going to be. You type in the plan name and you do 6 or 7 at a time, and it saves them all to the files. And all I did was say, "Hey, ChatGPT, do this for me because I don't want to write it." And boom.
yeah.
So I think
Amazing.
the industry should use it more. I don't think we use it enough, because it's just too powerful not to use. You just
Yeah.
put yourself at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I think the only real roadblock is thinking that people don't know enough to start. They're like, I don't know where I get started. I don't know what to do. And the beauty, especially of a large language model, is you can just say, well, I have this idea, help me get there. And just see, like, you're not going to be penalized for experimenting, unless you're sharing private data, and then don't do that.
Yeah.
But I definitely think the industry is in need of some serious experimentation, and things like what you built can pop up and end up being really, really impactful and successful. Like, you are deploying more capital and building more homes, which is sorely needed in this economy because of something you built, which I think is no small thing. So major kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I do want to touch on the data of it all, because I'm sure in Python that pulls a lot from robust data sources. You mentioned using your comps library, which is, of course, key because you got all the different components of the stuff that you'll be building. But what other kinds of data are y'all relying on to put together your pro formas and evaluate different development opportunities? And
Yeah.
do you think, I was going to just ask as a follow-up, do you think that's where the home building industry is headed, using more of these technologies and pieces of data to make these decisions? Or what is your forecast? Two questions, but I wanted to combine them.
So part one, we usually use just MLS data as kind of the supplemental data that we're going to use to determine viability. So, in Georgia, we have First MLS and then Georgia MLS are kind of the two big ones. We'll go in and look at new construction, built within about 5 miles of the site that we're looking at. typically will, no basements, not active adult, just kind of fitting what the community might lend itself to. Um, and that's where the images come in big. You can start to actually look at what these homes look like and compare that to what we have on the shelf, and then start to pick and choose. So that's kind of number one, the other big data source. The number two data source is upcoming communities, which typically you can get from Zonda. So just see who's coming, what do they typically build? If it's, DR Horton or Century or something, we know it's going to be more that first time home buyer. If it's Toll Brothers, we know that it's going to be, somewhere it's that second time move up or that first time move up where it's a little bit nicer, higher spec. So we can kind of start to feel out the market and what's going to be there. And then you can look at resale data and kind of see, the remodels and who's moving in. There's so many different aspects of it to where you can start looking at 4 different houses and be like, well, this means 1,000 different things because of these 4 houses.
Yeah.
So, mainly those, just finding comps, finding out what the market looks like, who's coming. We also will use migration data in this as well, just to find our target home buyer. We kind of understand what product lends itself better to families as opposed to, single men or single women or retirees or, young professionals. So if Placer is kind of telling us, that's who we use, Placer AI. If they're kind of telling us like, hey, you're having this crazy influx of young professionals moving into the area and we're projecting that to go on and on, maybe we should start to tailor our product choice in this area towards those individuals. That's who's going to be here, and that's what's going to sell. And then number 2, remind me of the second part of the question.
Just do you see the larger home building community starting to pull more of their data from these different data sources, using technology more as they assemble kind of these pictures of where to make the next investment?
So it's moving in that direction. There's companies popping up, every day that have some sort of, niche gimmick, something that is tailored towards this industry. And I think, give it 3 or 4 years until kind of every big home builder is using 10 or 12 of these different platforms, whether, they're buying the data from them or they've integrated them into their own internal platforms, kind of like what, we're working on. It's definitely coming, and it's needed. Like we were saying, why not leverage this technology? Why not? It's going to make everyone's life easier, everyone's life more efficient. So yeah, it's definitely coming, and I can't wait for it. I love that kind of stuff.
You're all in.
I want to have all the tech stacks. Let's get every single one of them.
Yeah, it is nice to have a company willing to pay for licenses so you can play around.
Yeah.
I'm curious from your perspective, as the industry moves in this direction where more and more tools are getting onboarded, how does one, either an individual or a team, kind of strike that balance between speed powered by technology and also the more human side of this business, especially in the development world when A to Z has 5 million twists and turns to get a product from acquisition to delivery and actually selling the homes?
Yeah, I think it depends on the part of the process you're in. I don't think that, AI and different tech stacks are going to replace the land development part. I mean, and the due diligence part. You're going to have to go out there and drill into the ground to see if there's rock. You have to. You can't. You might be able to rely on something to get you close, but unless you actually go out there and do it, you're never going to fully know. And I mean, that could bankrupt a project in a heartbeat. On the acquisition side, I think it's a little different. If you have something that's running down all of these leads for you and you have an AI voice calling different landowners and actually getting more information that then a person can kind of take and run with. I think that'll come. I think that'll be something that's used very heavily. But there's always the art of the deal. You're going to need a real person that can sit there and read body language and kind of listen to the inflection of their voice and figure out how the person's feeling that's selling the land, that you're not going to get with, technology.
Yeah.
So it really depends, I think, on the process, the part of the process you're in.
Sure.
Which is good and bad,
Yeah.
some job security, but
contractors got it made.
Contractors, yeah.
It's a good job to be in these days.
Work with your hands. Definitely work with your
hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really good segue into the last thing I wanted to talk about, which was the housing market, a very, very small and easy to solve subject, right?
Yeah, we should be able to solve it in the next 5-10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, seriously. But, speaking of emotion being a huge part of it, right? I guess, what are you seeing? And we can zero in specifically in Atlanta or zoom out more broadly. What is going on in the world of the first-time home buyer, which is a target market of Lennar's? Obviously there are key factors at play. Land's a lot more expensive, which makes everything more expensive. Construction's more expensive, which makes everything more expensive. Cost of capital is in flux, and there's a lot of question marks. So what is your read of the land, and what do you think are the most important things that are impacting what you're seeing?
Yeah, so definitely costs. Land costs have continued to go up. Hopefully they slow down or kind of start to go the other direction, but I would say a major part of the rise in cost for new construction is the cost of land, especially communities that are going to start popping up or have just popped up. You might find something that the land was bought a couple years ago and it's still affordable, but just since COVID, the prices have just gone up so much that it's hard to build a home for a first-time home buyer that they can actually afford. A $4,000 mortgage payment is not affordable. I don't care what anybody says. That's a lot of money. And unless you are a dual income household and you don't have kids and you and your spouse or partner are making $100,000 each, you're not going to be able to afford a $4,000 mortgage. It's just, with the cost of everything else. I mean, how much are eggs now? It gets too expensive. So that's the majority of it, I think. And that's, why groups like Lennar are trying to do what we're doing and building these very large communities, because we can get them for cheaper. We can get the land cheaper. We can kind of put more density on these larger, parcels and lower this base sales price and actually provide homes for first-time home buyers where they can start to build wealth. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want someone that can move into this home and in 10 years, 15 years, sell it and, start to move up and get the next big house and raise a family in it.
Yeah.
The cost of materials, the beauty of the Lennars, we buy as much as we can possibly handle. So we buy 100,000 cabinets at a time or 20,000 countertops or something. So we're able to keep our costs of goods really low. So we can kind of offset this rising land cost a little bit. But it's tough. I mean, I wish we could price every home at $250,000. I would love to. But, at the end of the day, we're a business. We have to pay all of our employees as well. But it'll get there.
Yeah.
Interest rates are going to go down. Mortgage payments are going to go down. Hopefully land prices are going to go down and we can start actually providing real, first-time home buyer homes in good areas.
Yeah.
You'll see them now. They'll pop up and it'll be a fantastic price and it'll be a beautiful first-time home, but you're an hour and a half from, anything. And that's not really where you're looking to live, or the school system's really bad and it's not a good place to raise a family, or, XYZ, whatever you want to throw at it.
Sure.
But we're getting there. We're not the only ones facing that issue. Every home builder is. And I don't want to speak for the whole country because I don't know those other markets as well as I know Atlanta. But I think Atlanta is taking more of, the brunt of this housing crisis than a lot of other areas. But again, it's kind of in pockets. There's parts of the metro Atlanta that are doing really well, and the real estate market is thriving. But then there's a lot that are you'll see houses sit there for months and months and months, and take huge price cuts.
Yeah,
the buyer's market, though. If you want to move to Atlanta,
putting out the call right now. Anybody interested? I actually know a few people who have moved to Atlanta in the last couple of years. So
Atlanta's a great place to move. If anyone's looking, Atlanta's a great place to move. There's a lot to do here.
Yeah.
You can get all 4 seasons in a week, which is, you don't get that everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. I was at, do you know the Shaky Knees Music Festival?
I don't. Is that
it's in Piedmont Park, and okay. I think it used to be in May. It was, at least when I went. This was several years ago. And in the course of 2 days, it was like sleeting thunderstorm, like low 60s, and then it was like high 90s and sweltering hot the next day.
Sounds about right.
Like, give me my 70s. I'm from California, please.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, Atlanta's fun. I really like Atlanta. So in our prep call also, as it's a buyer's market, and sometimes that buyer is not a first-time home buyer. Sometimes that buyer is someone interested in a single-family rental portfolio and wants to rent out these homes to those who are priced out of the market. So I know that's not necessarily Lennar's focus, but what are you seeing kind of in more of that side of the demand?
Yeah. A very big increase is the easy answer. There, Lennar does have, Lennar corporate. We do have a team that focuses mainly on build to rent. So building the relationships with all of these build to rent groups and kind of peddling out anything any division had that could fit their box. And we've seen a very big uptick in that activity, which is expected when, interest rates and mortgages are so high. It's easier to rent for a year or two and wait for the market to kind of stabilize. And I think that's what these build to rent groups kind of are, discovered or new, or, however they evaluate whatever they do. It's kind of been wild. We're, really shifting focus to, can we start to sell to some of these groups and start to move product again, compared to, letting it sit and paying the interest on it. Can't say kind of what we've done or if we've sold any, but it's definitely a trend right now.
Interest.
Yeah, a ton of interest to try to get communities. And it's, they're very specific. They need to be big enough. They need to be in good locations, good schools. They need, good for renters, people that are going to be there for 3-4 years. So we're, changes kind of the product you might put there, or
I was going to say, does that change the specs of the land that you're looking at if you are engaging in these kinds of projects? Like,
yeah, it
does that shift the neighborhoods? Does that shift the materials you're using, the models?
Yeah, typically not the materials. We'll, unless there's a very specific, request from the build to rent group, we'll build the same home that we're going to. We'll offer options, washer, dryer, fridge, stuff like that if they want it. But it does sometimes change the layout. It does sometimes change the floor plans or the amenity. A lot of the rental communities, they want a pool, they want a clubhouse. We don't put those in all of our communities, but we will tell them, like, yeah, we can get rid of 3 home sites and you can put the pool clubhouse there. An actually new addition to the platform I built was kind of putting together a packet of all of our floor plans. So where we can, if we have a site that fits a 40-foot by 80-foot home, we can kind of filter all of our plans that are would fit that build box. Kind of puts it all together in a packet for you with all the images and the details and the floor plan, everything like that, and we can start sending them off to different groups. Kind of show like, on this site there's 25 different plans that you could build. Let us know which ones you want, and we can kind of start to move that direction with them, which has been very helpful. Groups have very specific things they're looking for, and everyone's a little bit different. So some want more bedrooms, some want, more open space, or they have to have an office, or, you name it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely makes sense. So before we start getting into our wrap-up questions, because I want to be mindful of time, we've already been going almost 50 minutes. What is your long-term view of the future of entry-level housing in Atlanta, and then just based kind of on like the trends that you're seeing? What do you think is adapting maybe, or should adapt to see more growth in the sector?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you got me. I think that the rental trend is going to be very big for the next couple years. I think once rates have stabilized kind of to a point where you can get your payment back into that, high $2,000, low $3,000 range for a $500,000 house, there's going to be more movement. I think the biggest thing is going to be, can we get back into the, starting in the 300,000s at a normal, base price, no incentives, no, crazy deals. Just, can we start underwriting deals in the 300,000s again? Once that happens, it's, it should kind of be open season. There's a lot of product will move very quickly, and people will start to be able to get back into houses. Do I think it's going to happen in the next couple years? I don't know. I hope so. I hope it happens, in the next couple weeks. We need a bigger
great
house.
News for you guys.
Yeah, we need a bigger house, so we need to buy something too. But I don't think it'll happen that quickly. I don't know what is needed for that change to come about. At this point, we just kind of got to hold our breath and wait a little bit and see what happens. I mean, our government's not even working right now. So.
Yeah.
No progress on that front.
As of today, November 4th, we are still in a government shutdown.
Still in a shutdown.
Just time stamping that real quick. So remains to be seen.
Oh, hopefully rates they drop down. I don't know, maybe everyone gets like a 70% raise this year, and that solves the problem,
Knock on wood. Would be nice. AI, let's get us more productive and more money. Well, awesome. All right, Connor, are you ready? We're going to wrap this conversation up with a couple rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire.
And so quick, off the top of your head answers, and maybe ask you for whys afterwards. But number one, if we handed you $50 million today and you had to invest it immediately, where would you park that money, and what asset class, and why?
$50 million today. I'm probably taking half of that, going into somewhere in Milton or Alpharetta, Georgia, buying as much land as I can, taking the other half, giving it to a financial advisor, and saying, I don't want to ever work again.
I feel like with 25 million, you're set. Like, it doesn't need to go anywhere.
Never know. Houses are getting expensive. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, right.
I have that expensive taste.
Fair enough. Just stay in Atlanta, you're set. If you want to move to California, maybe add on another 10 million or so. All right, love it. Land and financial advisor. Find a CFP. What is the worst advice you've ever been given about being successful in commercial real estate?
Man, I feel like I haven't really been given that much bad advice. I spoke so highly of my boss earlier, giving me all the good advice.
It doesn't need to be from him.
Bad advice, commercial real estate. Can we skip? Can we do
Yeah.
it?
You can say no one's given me bad advice, and
I
you know
don't
what?
I
You
don't
live a
think I've
blessed
really
life.
gotten I don't think I've really gotten terrible advice. I haven't been in the industry long enough to have the worst advice yet.
How about bad advice in general? What's
Bad
the worst
advice
advice you've been
in
given?
general in my life. Give up on something. It's probably the worst advice I've ever been given. Yeah,
That's
that's
bad
definitely
advice.
that's bad advice. Yeah.
Definitely.
Don't give up, especially the children. Don't give up. You can do it.
And then finally, don't give up, kids. And then finally, what is the most common misconception about being in home building?
That anything happens quickly. It is slow. Everything is always slow. If you think it's going to happen in a week, triple it. It will not take that short of time.
There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of tests you have to do. Oh my gosh.
It's
All the environmental reports.
There's so much due diligence and
Yeah.
especially, corporate, there's a lot of red tape and there's a lot of different approvals you have to get.
Not to mention regulations, zoning.
Everything takes a long time. And for the people out there that are looking to buy homes, if it is taking a long time, I would say like 90% of the time, it is not the home builder. The home builder is waiting on some sort of permit or some sort of approval from a municipality or something. Like, I promise we are going as quick as we can because we want to get it done fast too. But it just doesn't go quick.
Yeah. We'll see. I think there's a conversation happening right now, the abundance conversation about how do we unlock a lot of that red tape. So I think it's in the conversation, but
okay, there we go.
There's definitely a lot of red tape.
A lot of red tape. There's a lot of red tape.
Oh man. Well, Connor, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited we finally had this conversation get recorded. We had it. It was great. Really appreciate you taking the time. Where can folks get in touch if they want to connect with you? Email, social media? Where should they contact you?
So feel free to, if you want to email me anytime, it's connor.johnstone@lennar.com. Social media, that's a really good question. I think it's c._Johnstone is my Instagram. I'm on TikTok, but I don't use TikTok. But
TikTok's a weird place.
But yeah, if you or my LinkedIn, again, it's Connor Johnstone. It's a picture of me. I don't know.
There you go. Easy peasy. Connor Johnstone, Lennar.
Yeah. No, if you have land that you want to sell, and if you're watching this, sell it to us. And if you think you know someone that has land they want to sell, let us know.
Hit up Connor. I love it. Well, awesome. Thank you so much again. And thanks everyone who tuned in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know. Leave us a comment, a rating, or a review, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. For our full library of episodes and show notes, you can visit crexi.com/podcast. And you can also check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Crexi for video recordings of each and every episode. Take care and be sure to tune in next time.